Commuter trains, or commuter rail, are types of passenger trains that take passengers from the big city into the suburbs and vice versa. There are a multitude of commuter rail agencies across the US, like Metrolink, Metro North, Metra, and NJ Transit. Some commuter trains share their tracks with Amtrak, which also used to operate commuter trains. Wait, what? Amtrak commuter trains? Yes, you'd be shocked. Amtrak used to operate 2 commuter trains in the Midwestern United States, and in this video, I will tell you the story on how both of these commuter trains played out. Let's begin. The first commuter train is called the Calumet, formerly operated by the Pennsylvania Railroad, then Penn Central, and then Conrail until 1979, when Amtrak finally took over for the short route. The service first ran on August 30th, 1869 by the Pennsylvania Railroad on its main line from Pittsburgh west to Chicago. It was formerly called the Chicago to Valparaiso Accommodation, but it was usually referred to as the Valpo Local, or the Dummy. From April 1st, 1971 until January 1st, 1920, the Pennsylvania Company operated the line. After that, it returned to its direct operation by the Pennsylvania Railroad until February 1st, 1968, when the PRR was merged into the disastrous Penn Central Transportation Company. By that point, the route was operated as a rush-hour commuter service, with 2 trains traveling from Valparaiso to Chicago at 5:55 a.m. and 6:35 a.m., and 2 trains returning from Chicago to Valparaiso at 5 p.m. and 5:40 p.m. When Amtrak began operations on May 1st, 1971, all Penn Central intercity trains were taken over by Amtrak, but Penn Central continued to run commuter trains in several metropolitan areas, including the Valpo Local. The Calumet, or Valpo Local, currently has one of the shortest complete routes in Amtrak's history. It runs for a total of 44 miles from Chicago's Union Station to Valparaiso, Indiana. It made 8 station stops until reaching its destination, which were Hammond-Whiting, Indiana Harbor, Gary's 5th Avenue and Broadway stations, Hobart, Wheeler, and Valparaiso. As said, the route was only 44 miles and each trip was covered in around an hour and a half. The bankrupt Penn Central merged into Conrail on April 1st, 1976, which continued operations until 1979, at which point Amtrak took over. The route was also served by the Daily Broadway Limited to New York City and Chicago, and on October 1st, 1981, the Daily Capital Limited to Washington, D.C. began using it. At first, the Valpo Local was served by 2 daily trains, the Calumet and the Indiana Connection. The Indiana Connection was discontinued first. Due to Conrail's desire to abandon part of the former PRR mainline, the Broadway Limited and the Capital Limited were rerouted respectively onto the former B&O Railroad and the New York Central Railroad lines on November 11, 1990, leaving about half of the Calumet route with no other service. Amtrak announced that it would be discontinuing the Calumet on December 31st of that year. Representative Peter J. Vislotsky, I don't know if I said that right, I probably butchered that pronunciation, but still, he introduced a bill to require Amtrak to continue operations until July 1st, 1991, to allow time for the state of Indiana to consider subsidizing the route. Commuter service from Chicago into northern Indiana is still provided by the South Shore Line, operated by the NICTD, or Northern Indiana Commuter Transportation District, over its own alignment, whose closest stop, Dune Park Station, is 15 miles from Valparaiso, closer to Lake Michigan. The Chicago-Express bus to Chicago, operating during weekday rush hours, has its Valparaiso bus terminal for a parking lot adjacent to the former rail station. Starting in August of 2004, the Chicago, Fort Wayne, and Eastern Short Line Railroad started freight operations over the old route of the Calumet and beyond, and still does to this day. A study was conducted in 2017 to assess the return of service to Valparaiso, with the new service potentially running as far as Fort Wayne in northwestern Ohio. However, it's 2024 and I still don't know if they want to do this. In my honest opinion, I think Metra should approach this as an expansion to their already massive commuter rail network, and it already provides service to a neighboring state, Wisconsin. There's only one stop there, but still. Alright, let's move on to the other commuter train. This next commuter train is called the Michigan Executive. It went from Detroit, Michigan to Jackson, a suburb about 70 miles westward. Because Amtrak's mandate only covered intercity routes and long-distance routes, the Penn Central continued to operate a daily commuter train between Detroit and Ann Arbor. By the mid-1970s, Penn Central asked to discontinue the service, citing declining ridership and the aging Bud Rail diesel cars it used. It was also already bankrupt, so it was a no-brainer by that point. Amtrak and the state of Michigan agreed to step in, and the Michigan Executive was born, making its first run on July 20th, 1975, running between Detroit and Jackson. The Michigan Executive made 5 station stops on its route. It made its first stop out of Detroit at Dearborn and continued to Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor, Chelsea, and Jackson. The total route length was 74 miles, and each run took about an hour and 35 minutes, covered on a weekday-only daily basis. Now, it's the summer of 1975. The westbound Friday Michigan Executive operated all the way to Chicago, returning the following Sunday. Under Amtrak, ridership increased 50% and peaked at 96,573 in 1979. Chartered buses carried passengers from Michigan Central Station to downtown Detroit. Declining ridership due to the decline of downtown Detroit, a recession, and the ticket price hikes led Amtrak to discontinue the westbound Michigan Executive on June 14, 1982, and eastbound service between Jackson and Detroit was truncated, only running from Ann Arbor to Detroit. Returning commuters took the Chicago to Detroit Twilight Limited, which was modified, adding stops to accommodate former westbound executive passengers. By 1983, annual ridership had fallen to 26,000. Due to even more declining ridership issues, Amtrak completely discontinued the remainder of the Michigan Executive on January 13, 1984, after Michigan withdrew its support. State transportation officials estimated that the discontinuance would save $200,000 a year, and daily ridership had dwindled below 60. Today, the Calumet and the Michigan Executive are long gone, but some of its route is occasionally still seen by passenger and freight trains. Dearborn, Ann Arbor, and Jackson's Amtrak stations still see service from Amtrak's higher-speed Wolverine route. Same case with the Hab and Whiting stop that the Calumet used to serve. Amtrak's Calumet and Michigan Executive were definitely something cool for Amtrak because they stepped in to operate something they didn't normally agree to. Also, something cool about the Calumet is that it used gallery cars, which is completely unheard of for Amtrak. Anyway, that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe for more history videos coming soon. Thanks for watching and have a great day.